As we say, the month of Ramadan is a month of spirituality as well. Now we have to look into that, what part that spirituality plays in our life. What are the things when we come across in our life on day-to-day basis, and if we are having that domain very strengthened, we have a better capacity to handle all those sort of challenges in our life. So I quote an example. Now let's say I'm showing you my mobile phone, right? So if I ask you, what is the true value of this mobile phone? So you say, all right, the value of the mobile phone is about its functionality. How much software programs it can contain, what is the capacity of it, how much efficiently it can run. Absolutely correct. Now, if I ask you that this mobile phone does not have any software, or it has a corrupted software, or it is not creating anything for me, now what would be the value of this mobile phone then? You say, Kamran, then it would be as good as like a paperweight. It does not carry any meaning. Absolutely right. What about the computers? You have been looking into it right now. If it software get corrupted, if it doesn't have any software to be uploaded, what is the value of that piece of equipment? It is nothing, because it is just being a sort of an equipment without any life in it. We are also being on the similar part. We have one aspect which we are going to talk about, which is our body, and the other thing which is a software which is running within ourselves. It is our soul. And today's subject, we are going to talk very interesting aspects on that soul and on the spirituality part. I learn a very interesting lesson about spirituality whenever I remember when and you have experienced that part as well. You can reflect upon it. Whenever you go on some of the journey and you put in your map some of the destination with the coordinates, for example, you've been traveling from Abu Dhabi to Dubai and you put some of the coordinates over there. Now what happened? The coordinates which you put automatically set your path for your journey. And if, for example, you are being on the path and if it indicate now you have to take a right turn, and if you made you miss that right turn, what is going to be happen? The software automatically calculate a new path for you, and it say, all right, no worries, just go ahead. After 500 meter, again take a right turn, and you can go over there. Imagine you just forget it, you just ignore it, neglect it intentionally, and you go 50 miles ahead. What is going to be happen? Is it that software is going to give up on you? Is it say, all right, you are not listening to me, so I'm not going to tell you any further? No, that software is not going to give up onto you, and is still keep on calculating the better path for yourself. And this is the way in which you are being able to reach your destination. I learned an interesting lesson about that spirituality is being setting up a North Star. So if that North Star is clear to us, so whatsoever the things we've been going through in our life, in our journey, we still been able to get our way back and we can reach to our destination. That is the example of spirituality which I learned from that simple example. And I always say, like the way this software does not give up on ourselves, similarly till the time we are living, our Creator has not given up on us, so we don't have any right to give up on ourselves if our Creator has not given up. All right, so now let's take very interesting example. You have seen that I'm showing one of the, this is S, so I'm taking it symbolically as a spirit. So I just put it on my one hand, and this is the spirit which I'm going to quote. So, all right, my one hand, just assume that it's a metaphor of a spirit. This is our soul, which is over here. Now, I take the other example, and I put it on my hand, and I show it in front of you. Now, I have two things. One is, which is my body. So, this hand is symbolically my body, and this hand is symbolically what is my soul. Now, when I look into that, I mix it together. So when I mix it together, what I become? Now, I become a human being. I have a body and I have a soul, and it has been amalgamated, and I become a human being. Now, challenge what happened in our life. This body, which I've taken an example, this body has been emerged from this earth. Now, when I say this body has been emerged from this earth, what are the needs of that body? For example, I need some food to eat, I need some clothes to wear, I need that spectacles to wear, I need some of my car to be driven to the places, I need some of the home where I have to live in. Now my question to you, from where all of these things has emerged? Just reflect upon it. From all of these things, from where it has emerged? It has also emerged from this earth. So all of my bodily needs, which has been emerged from the earth, so all of my needs which fulfill my body is also been emerged from this earth. Now my question is, from the soul came, from where the soul came in my life, how it has been come. So as per our beliefs, what we say, the soul came from the heaven. So soul came from the heaven, and then soul and body become together. Now my challenge is, like the way my body needs something to eat, it has some desires, it has some needs, so I fulfill that need. What about, my soul has also some of the needs as well? Do my soul also feel hungry? Do my soul also feel thirsty? Think about it. Our dilemma, my dear friends, is that when we are being amalgamated like this, and our soul is hungry and thirsty, what we do? We feed our body. We feed our body. And that is a reason that why, irrespective of so many things, so many materialistic things in our life, sometimes we feel emptiness. Why it is a reason that the people who have been always happen to be a super achievers, they got the fame, they got each and everything in their life. But why, but why they commit a suicide at the end? What is the reason? What is missing in their life? So remember, the soul has its also need. It also feel hungry, it also feel thirsty. So when there is a need of the soul, and you fulfill that hunger, you fulfill that thirst, your soul feel compensated, feel happy. And that is sometimes the feeling of happiness which we feel in our life. I hope it sounds sense what I'm trying to make, a simple step, that we are an amalgamated of two things, which is body and soul. Body has a need and soul has a need. And if both of the needs are fulfilled, we see that we have the inner peace, happiness, and all the things which we can enjoy in our life. Now today what we are going to discover, and this is a very interesting subject, as I mentioned, I have to talk about how we can fulfill the needs of our soul. And then, as I mentioned, that I'm going to relate it with our holy month of Ramadan, that how it helps us to fulfill that needs of our soul which has been there. Now look into that part. You have seen that I have drawn one of the diagram, and this is what you can say the research. This is my experience, this is my reflection upon going through different experiences, that I have identified that we have the two domains in our spiritual life. One domain is called a vertical domain. Now the vertical domain, if you see, like a graph you have been having, you will see that I have put +1, +2, +3, and on the lower side I have put -1, -2, -3. So this is one is called the vertical domain of our spiritual life. The second is the horizontal domain in our spiritual life. Now I talk about that when I said that as a human being, where do we place? As a human being, we are being here, for example, we are being here and we are standing over here, which is a ground zero. We are here. Now, for example, as a human being, we are an amalgamation of two things, which is our body and spirit. Now, when I look into my inner world, it has some sort of a journey I can take from +1 till infinity over here. And if it takes from the negative side or the lower side, it takes -1 to the infinity. Now, what are the things which I started taking in my life which actually give an enhancement in my spiritual thing, and it escalate my level of my spirit? So let's say I just identified one thing, that when I'm having a philosophy in my life, because it is all inner world, when I'm having a philosophy of selfless giving in my life. Now, when I say selfless giving, I remember one of the story I might have shared with you when I was being a grade 5 student, and my father has given me the first, he asked me this question, how much of my pocket money is, and I said I'm having this 2-3 rupees at that time I was having that. And he asked me, Kamran, you have to give some of the, at least 10% out of it as a charity. You must started giving it. And I was a small kid and I asked this question to my father. I said, Father, it's already so small, and to give a charity of 25 pence or 50 pence out of it does not make any difference. Now in that instance, he has given me a great spiritual lesson at that time. He said, Kamran, always remember, it does not matter the quantity, the matter is the philosophy. It does not matter in the eyes of Creator how much you have been able to give. It is matter how much you are having and how much you're giving out of it. That matters the most. So that sense of giving actually give you an escalation in your spirit. And I remember that part, that since the time that sense of giving came, it has actually escalated to a different levels altogether, and does not mean stay there in my financial. It's actually given sharing of my knowledge, experience, whatsoever I can. So that gives you an escalation on this level. This has been domain. Now on the other side of it, when we say when our bodily needs taken over of our spirit, what happened? My question is it giving matter, or it is the self matter? So for example, if I'm being too much focused on myself, I don't care about that sort of set that why I should give to the other people. I have to take care of myself. I have to ensure that whatsoever the materialistic gains I can get in my life, or whatsoever the price it is going to be taken, it should come to me. So when I'm being more focused on my materialistic gains, so I gone into my bodily requirement. So I would like to have a good stature, I would like to go for the best and the best in my life. This is more self-centered, irrespective if I have to compromise onto the needs of other people. I don't care about it. So this is something on the reflection part of it. Now let's take another example. Whenever I'm being took into that, whenever I'm on my spiritual part, on the spiritual domain, which take me to the high level, I have an inner peace and the inner purpose of gratitude, because what is more important in my life, that I always feel in abundance. I feel like that I'm being given by my Creator a lot of blessings in my life, and because I'm already having a lot more, I must have to share. So I live with the gratitude, and the gratitude gives you a lot of happiness. And remember, happiness is a state in which you always feel happy, because there is something is connected with your soul. You might have seen that number of times, even about this session, I told you that this is a spiritual affair for myself, because of the reason I feel like that if you are being able to pass it on some of the philosophy and it impacted some person somewhere, it is going to be contribute a lot. Now, so onto the spiritual side, what else is being filling all? On the spiritual side, the fulfillment of needs matters the most. So for example, we always say that as a human being, there is always been a needs. We had a need. I had a need to live in some house. I had a need to drive some of the car. I had to a need to have some of the food. There is a need. But there is a different sense when we say what is the want. And the want has no upper limit. Want and desires keep on escalating. So that the spirit focus on that what you are focused on your needs, and you are, if you are having an abundance, you are sharing and you are giving for the other people in that domain. Now what is the other aspect in the spiritual side? This is the philosophy what I have learned in the scripture, and it said in one of the religious scripture I was reading that, and it said that the best among you is the one who is beneficial for the all. The best among you is the one who is beneficial for all. Now, this is the complete philosophy. So when I look into that, I said, what does it mean by that? It means, again, my giving mode, that for example, if I'm being working as an employee in a company, then it does not matter what is a paycheck I'm getting. It more matter what I can contribute, what I can give. If I'm a family person, it does not matter what are the response, what are the payback I'm getting from my family and friends. It more matter what I'm contributing, what I'm being adding into their life. That matters the most. So with a sense of being beneficial, you always become extraordinary, because in that instance where the ordinary people are being living with their selfish motive, you become an extraordinary, because you focus on giving more, not taking more. You're giving more. And I'm going to tell you, my dear friends, why I'm been highlighting that part. This, if you can ask, you might have experienced number of times. There is a law which exists in this world, and what is that law is talk about? There is a law of rebound. A law of rebound exists in this world. Now, what is that law of rebound is all about? Law of rebound say that whatsoever I emit out of myself, it comes back in a multiple factor. It comes back in a multiple factor. So for example, if I'm been sharing something of value with you, I'm trying to get something, honestly speaking, a lot of knowledge, a lot of information bounce back to myself. If I started sharing something out of my finances for the help of the needy people around, I can bet on that you can never be broke, because the more you emit out, the more it returns back to you. Whenever I share my sessions with the youngsters, sometimes I ask them, I said, I'm doing with some selfish motive, and they're surprised. They said, what is a selfish motive? I said, I'm giving you a guidance with the sense that when my kids need a guidance, someone else is going to be a peer for them. So this is a law of rebound, my dear friend. Now my question is, and this is a very important question, if I'm emitting something not good from my life, if I'm emitting what you can say anger, if I'm emitting backbiting, if I'm emitting some sort of loss for the people around, what should I expect in return? It's a very important thing we have to reflect upon. What we emit, it comes back into our life with a multiple factor. This is called a law of rebound. Now, what else is in the spiritual domain? Spiritual domain, the noble values matter. Noble values matter. So for example, if I have to be truthful, so I will not care about this thing, whether this truth is going to harm me or not. If I have to be open, facilitative, transparent with the people, then I don't care about this thing, whether it is going to be workable for me in my career or not, because for me, the noble values matter. Now, whenever I say noble values, always remember, my dear friends, noble values are universal laws that cannot be changed. Now, if I ask you, if you have taste salt, what is the taste of it? You say, oh, it's a bit bitter. Now my question is, what was the taste of the salt 1,000 years back? It is the same taste. It doesn't change. So universal laws does not change. So if my spirituality tell me that if you stay with the noble cause, noble values, it is always going to pay you back. So that's a belief that we can talk about that. So this is a bit of spiritual world when we say the inner world. If I live with that value, so my journey starts from +1, +2, +3, it goes to the infinite level, and this is where the peace and happiness and the most important part, what we say, the feeling of abundance always exists in my life. Now, if we come down for a little bit, it is now come back. For example, if my bodily needs take over, for example, myself, my body, my materialistic things taken care of myself. Now, what is going to be happen? Number one, as I told you, I'm having a drive to fulfillment of all of my desires and my wants, and wants does not fulfill all the time. And you know, my dear friends, there is always, when I said, always think about that how the stress and depression happen in people's life. How the stress and depression happen? It happened when there is certain standard of my living, and I have carry a standard, and I found that my standard of living and my expectation, there is a big gap. So for example, I would like to drive Mercedes, but I'm been just driving an ordinary car right now. So there is a bit of gap for myself, and I do not feel happy with that, because some of my colleagues or someone else have found that they have been driving the same. The moment I'm been having the Mercedes Benz, I would have found that someone else is driving Bentley. So what is question to be happened? The wants always keep on enhancing. So whenever there is a gap, whenever there's a gap exists, the gap create a bit of stress for myself. And the moment I realize that this stress, this gap cannot be fulfilled, I go into the domain of depression. That is the reason that the fulfillment of wants, and that is the reason fulfillment of need create a different set of life for ourselves. Now, what else has been happening over here? As I mentioned, that whenever we are having always in the wants and desires, we always come into the stress and depression. So in this domain, you might have found that people are not being able to enjoy whatsoever they are already having in their life. They always have what you say, I want more, I want more, I want more. They are not being able to enjoy that. Over here, why the people are enjoying? Because they are being always having a mindset that they have enough to share, and they are being in the giving mode. Now, what is the last but not the least is, here the noble values matter in the spiritual domain. here the societal standards matter. So the more I'm been falling on it, the more I'm been going down, and in that instance it does not bring me any sense of happiness and satisfaction, because I always say that I have nothing, people have lot many in around me. And that is the life, as I mentioned, that we are being on that ground zero, and our journey here, our Creator has given us a choice. And what's our Creator has given us a choice? Creator has given us a choice that you are being an amalgamation of a body and a soul, and there is a domain in front of you. You make a choice which path you would follow. And always remember, my dear friends, our Creator has given us a choice to choose, but our Creator has not given us a choice to choose the consequences of our choices. That's a different part. So in that instance, it's been there. Now coming on the outer world. So this is about the inner world. Outer world we are having when we started interacting with the people with the noble values. What happened? There are 3 C's of the horizontal part. One is called connection. So we are being there with a sense of our giving, with a sense of beneficial for all, with a sense of not only fulfilling of my needs, rather the people around. We always have a journey in the horizontal, connecting with the people around, giving them with a sense of giving and contribution. Connection happened. Number 2, what happened? Compassion happened, because we've been caring about the people, not caring about myself only, not caring about my needs only. We have a sense of compassion. And last but not the least, we have a strong sense of contribution. So remember 3 things on the horizontal: connection, compassion, and contribution. So that is our life become when we are being in the spiritual journey.